Welcome to this revision blast for changing families, which is part of paper 1. We have a number of interactive quizzes to test your knowledge and understanding, so let's crack on. We're going to start off with a round of altered vowels. Now you are going to see a number of family types. Each one will have had their vowels changed to an alternative. So can you work out the family types that you are going to see on the screen? Let's have a go. Okay, here is our first one. So we'll leave it on the screen for a few moments. Hopefully you recognise this one. Let's reveal. It is the nuclear family, which has been seen as the ideal family type in Britain, consisting of 2 generations, male and female parents and their children, either their own or adopted. And it has been presented as both the best and the normal family type, when it is actually only one of many different family types. Okay, here is our next one. Again, we'll leave it up on the screen for a few moments. Okay, let's reveal. It is lone parent. So a lone parent family is one parent, either the mother or father, with their dependent children, and they are on the increase in Britain. About 25% of all families with dependent children are lone parent families. About 90% of those are headed up by female, and they are the product of a divorce or the end of a relationship, or simply women choosing to have children on their own, or obviously we've also got the prospect of the death of one parent, which can lead to lone parent families. Here's our next one. So let's reveal. It is same sex or single sex. Now these are much more common today. They consist of a couple of the same sex who might be living together, or they might be in a civil partnership, or since 2014 they might actually be married, as the Marriage Act in 2013 allowed same-sex couples to marry in civil ceremonies. Now, same-sex couples have had the right to adopt since 2002, so they are on the increase as a family type. Okay, we have a slightly trickier one on the screen this time, so I'm going to give you a couple of moments. If you need to pause this one, please do, to try and work this one out. Okay, let's reveal. So this is a reconstituted family, or also known as blended families, and they're the result of 2 families coming together following a divorce or separation where one or both parents meet a new partner. They are also more commonly referred to as the step families. Here is our next one. Just again leave it up for a few moments before we reveal. Right, let's reveal. It is beanpole. So beanpole families are those with many generations but not many people in each generation, and they are very reflective of today's society, with a longer life expectancy but where people are choosing to have fewer children. Our final altered vowels is this. Okay, let's reveal. It is extended. So many people in the UK live in extended families, and they're also really common in many other countries, such as India and communities right across Africa. And they consist of relatives as well as the immediate family. So they can be vertically extended, where you might have 3 or more generations living together or very nearby, so children, parents and grandparents, or they might be horizontally extended, where you have 2 generations with relatives other than the immediate family living together or nearby, so your cousins, aunts and uncles, for example. So we're now going to move on to a round of true or false. So you're going to see a number of statements. You just need to work out whether they are correct or not. So firstly, cohabitation is the fastest growing relationship status. Is that true or false? Let's reveal. It is true. So cohabitation is when a couple decides to live together but not necessarily get married, and we'll talk about why that might happen a bit later. Our next one, the average cost of a wedding in the UK is £15,000. Is that true or false? Okay, let's reveal. It is false. It's actually more. It's around about £25,000, and it might explain why cohabitation is the fastest growing relationship status. Next one, serial monogamy means being married to 2 or more people at the same time. What do we think? Is it true or false? Okay, let's reveal. It's actually false. That is bigamy that is we're referring to there. Serial monogamy means that you go from relationship to relationship to relationship. So you might have somebody, for example, who's been married 5 times. It costs on average at least £148,000 to raise a child to the age of 18 in the UK. Is this true or false? Let's reveal. It is true, and it's one of the reasons why people are having fewer children and having them later. Okay, we're now going to move on to a round of missing vowels. This time, the vowels have been taken out of the key phrases, and these key phrases are all related to roles within the family. So can you work them out? So our first one is here. If we work this one out, let's reveal. It is the dual burden. So it's a phrase coined by Anne Oakley, which talks about women who are going out to work but still taking on the majority of the childcare and household responsibilities. Here is our next one. I'll just give you a moment to work this one out. Let's reveal. It is the triple shift. So related to the dual burden, this time you've got the added extra of the emotional support as well. The idea that the mum in the household is responsible for working, doing all the domestic chores, or the majority of them, but also taking on the emotional supportive role in the family as well. So our next one is this. Let's leave it up on the screen for a moment for you to work out. Okay, let's reveal. It is the concept of the new man. So a new man is a man who takes a bit more interest in what's going on in the family, so looks after the children a bit more, helps out around the house. Okay, we have a slightly more tricky one on the screen this time. So pause if you need a couple of minutes to work it out. Let's reveal. It is conjugal roles. So conjugal roles are essentially who does what in the household. And our last missing vowels is a nice, easy one, hopefully. So let's reveal. It is a symmetrical family. Okay, so part of Wilmot and Young's study, which showed that over time, families tend to get more symmetrical with men and women taking on similar roles in the home. Okay, so that leads nicely into our next round, which is give me 3. So you're going to give me 3 factors that have led to the rise of the symmetrical family. You have got 30 seconds to do so. Off you go. Okay, how did you get on? So we have money, an increase in wages for all and employment for women. So women have achieved economic equality. Fewer children enables women to go out to work, so they've got more time. And better living standards and home entertainment means that men are now happier to spend time at home. Okay, we are going to have another round of true or false. So our first one here is over 40% of marriages end in divorce. Is this true or false? Okay, let's reveal. It's true. It's about 42% of marriages end in divorce. Okay, divorce has declined in the UK since the 1980s. Is this true or false? Let's reveal. It is false. It's been on the increase. Number 3. 7 out of 10 divorce petitions come from women. Is this true or false? Let's reveal. It is true. So previously, women found it very difficult to get divorced for all sorts of reasons. Women now have far more legal rights, and as a result, there are more women petitioning for divorce, and lots of those are down to just dissatisfaction in the relationship. Okay, 25% of all children in the UK are from lone parent families. So if you were listening earlier, then this one should be easier. Let's reveal the answer. It is true. Couples have to have been separated for 5 years before they can legally be granted a divorce. Is this true or false? Let's reveal. It is false. So in the last year, we've seen some new legislation which makes getting a divorce much easier, so we can have no blame divorces and they can come through much more quickly. Divorce cases have increased since 2010. Is this true or false? Actually false, and one of the reasons for that is because fewer people are choosing to get married in the first place. So therefore, although divorce has been on the increase over a longer period of time, in the last decade or so, divorce numbers have slightly decreased. Blended and reconstituted families are the most common family form in the UK. Is this true or false? Let's reveal. It is true. So remember, these are what we would commonly know as step families. And number 8, in 1993, there were a record number of divorces in the UK with 165,000. Is this true or false? It is true. Now, next one, the Divorce Reform Act came into law in 1969. Let's reveal. It is true. It gave women much more rights around divorce. Really important piece of legislation. And finally, the decrease in recent divorce cases is due to a decrease in secularisation. Is this true or false? It is false. It's actually due to a decrease in marriage. Although actually, to be fair, a decrease in marriage is down to a decrease in secularisation. So there is a link there. We are going to have another round of altered vowels. This time we're looking for reasons for divorce. And obviously, like before, they've had their vowels changed to an alternative. So can you work out these different reasons for divorce? Okay, here is our first one. So just give you a moment to try and work this one out. This one is adultery or having an affair, as it's more commonly known. Here is our next one. Some of these are a little bit tricky. Okay, let's reveal. This is desertion, where one partner has left. This used to be one of the reasons you could get married. Somebody had left and had not been there for 2 years. Okay, let's have a look at this one again, quite tricky, but we have mentioned this in the previous activity. Pause if you need a bit longer. We're about to reveal. And we've got secularisation here, so the declining role of religion or declining importance of religion. So remember, in the past, some people have stayed married when they were in an unhappy marriage because they would fear that they would be judged by others because they had obviously broken their marriage vows. Next one. Again, quite a tricky one here. Okay, this is a really common cause of divorce. And it's irretrievable breakdown. So the idea here that the problems in the marriage are too great to repair. And the last one. This will give you a clue here. This is legal. Okay, let's reveal. It is the Divorce Reform Act. So again, this gave greater power to people to divorce, particularly important for those on lower income, but also particularly important for women. Our next activity is amend the gap. So what you are going to do this time is you're going to complete the text provided by adding the missing words or phrases. And this is all about changing marriage patterns. So let's have a look. So our passage here is norms to do with marriage have changed. It is now acceptable to remain something. It is also acceptable to cohabit and have children outside of marriage. The influence of something has also declined, so secularization. Traditionally, Christians believe that the idea of having sex and children should only happen within what? Unmarried couples were said to be living in, and their children seen as illegitimate. And girls would lose respect if they lost their virginity before marriage. Although some still believe this, the church is generally less something now. So pause the video if you need to. Let's have a look and see if you have managed to work out these missing words, whether you've mended the gap. So our first one is single. So it's now acceptable to remain single. The influence of religion has also declined. Christians believing that sex and having children should only happen within a marriage. Unmarried couples are said to be living in sin. And then right at the end, although some still believe this, the church is generally less strict now. Well done if you got those all correct. So we're now going to have a quick game of 4, 3, 2, 1. You've got 2 minutes to answer these questions. Okay, so we've got 4 reasons why marriage has declined in the UK, 3 reasons why family sizes are smaller, 2 reasons for the increase in divorce, and 1 characteristic of the new man.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Let's see how you got on. So 4 reasons why marriage has declined in the UK. So there is a stigma attached to remaining single, secularisation and decline of religion, women are more financially independent, and the huge expense of weddings. Well done if you got those 4 correct. 3 reasons why family sizes are smaller. So we've got contraception, which makes family planning easier, the high cost of raising children, and women are choosing to have children later in life. Well done again if you got those 3 correct. 2 reasons for the increase in divorce. So we've got changes in divorce laws, we've got declining religion. You could have also had the increasing independence of women. You could have the availability of welfare benefits. That means that women are no longer dependent on their husband's salary. And the characteristic of the new man takes a much bigger role in bringing up his children. Well done if you got those all correct. Our final activity in this revision blast is a connection spinner, and we're going to have a look at the consequences of divorce. So we want to think about how divorce impacts on these 6 things on the screen. So we're going to have a couple of goes at the connection spinner, and whatever it lands on, we're going to have a think about how divorce impacts that thing. So where is it going to land? So it's landed on partners in a relationship. So let's have a think about how divorce impacts this. Okay, pause the video if you need to. Okay, what do we think? So how does divorce impact partners? So our consequence of divorce here is that people are probably happier depending on the circumstances around the split, but obviously the legal process is pretty stressful. It is also very expensive to get a divorce, and it could lead to financial difficulties further down the line, because suddenly, rather than being in sort of a couple sharing the financial bills between yourselves, you're now paying for your own. You might have to move because you can no longer afford to live in the home that you lived in together. All sorts of things there. Obviously, there's the issue of maintenance as well. Particularly, men have to pay the maintenance towards their ex and the kids, which often means that they have less money for themselves. Men tend to do quite badly in terms of financial. They quite often have financial difficulties after a divorce. Let's do it once more. Where's our spinning going to land this time? Okay, so we land on new partners. So what do we think here? Okay, let's reveal. So they might have to take on the emotional baggage of a new partner's previous relationship, might have to help a new partner through a really sort of traumatic divorce. They might be taking the new role of step parents, etc. All sorts of things there. And obviously we've got 4 more on the screen that we haven't touched upon. For children, it can be very tricky, and they might be quite happy because they might have had years of listening to parents arguing, having all sort of seen parents being really unhappy, but actually suddenly they are living between 2 parents, which can be quite difficult. Friends, it's often when a divorce happens, then you might lose some of your friends throughout that. So friends also find it quite difficult to negotiate your divorces. Stepchildren, you've got to negotiate 2 families coming together, which can be quite can be quite tricky. You don't always assume that children are going to get on. And the extended family, so that can be quite hard, particularly if you've been married to somebody for 20 years or so, and suddenly you divorce and your in-laws and things are no longer there. They were an important part of your family and now they no longer are. So there's all sorts of consequences of that divorce. It doesn't impact just upon the 2 people that were married. Okay, thank you very much for tuning into our revision blast on changing families. Hopefully you found the activities useful. Have a look at the playlist because we have got plenty of revision blasts covering every single topic at GCSE, so the AQA GCSE Sociology.